and welcome to Taiwan Today. I am Natalie. So, today I'm honored to have with me the Deputy Minister of the Mainland Affairs Council, Ming-chi, one of the top officials in charge of our relations with China. Mr. Chen, thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And we'll be talking about Taiwan's relations with China. Most recently, Beijing and the Vatican signed a provisional agreement about the appointment of bishops, which could lead them closer to diplomatic relations. Tell me, is the government concerned about this development?
We believe that the Vatican is not a regular secular country. The first priority for them is the pastoral work and the spread of gospel. We believe that Vatican and China's agreement is about the thing about the church. It should not be about the politics. We hope, it's our hope, and also our Ministry of Foreign Affairs have made it. Our concern is that we believe that they are not non-political. We will watch it closely, and we will stay firm with our friends. But we also like to point it out that the Chinese government has put a lot of pressure on the religious affairs. They have tear down many churches, and they have got the cross of the church, and very oppressive of the believers. We think the Vatican should very concerned about that, and I think that is raise a global concern about how they treat the believers in China. So we think it's our hope that the Chinese government can have a better treatment of their religious believers, respect the freedom of religion, freedom of worship. I think that is a key part of this thing.
So I'm sure that's something the Vatican is very concerned about.
Yes, certainly.
And all the Catholics in
yes.
China.
And all around the world.
And around the world as
yes.
well. Now, Beijing has been giving Taiwan a lot of pressure in many ways. One of them is through our diplomatic allies.
Yes.
You know, one by one,
yes.
Taking them. So what does the government think about this losing, so many allies in such a short time?
It's definitely our concern. We would like to have friends, and it's a pity that China has used a lot of foreign aid and a lot of empty promise to attract our friends away, to lure our friends away. But the China's strategy or their measure has been alert to many other countries in the whole world. For example, the United States has been taking care of that. They has recalled many of their ambassadors from the, for example, the Republic of Dominican, and as well as other countries. So I think the China's, we don't see that it's a zero-sum game. We would like to, our friend can make friends with anybody of their choice, but China is not. I mean, they are very aggressively taking away our diplomatic ties. That's really a pity for us. It's a really concern. But meanwhile, I think the international participation for Taiwan is a key issue. They are taking away our membership and forbid us to join many important international organizations. But on the other hand, we are actually, with our achievement in democracy and freedom of speech and freedom of association, we actually has earned some more, attract some more new friends in like human rights organizations. There's also very global and environmental groups. That is encouraging signs there. So I think we are losing some diplomatic tie, very conventional diplomatic tie, but we are winning the value-based organization. We are happy about that. But I would say the two sides equally important, and the government is working very hard on that issue.
So It's your job, the Mainland Affairs Council, to, I guess, build relations or govern relations with China. So what are some of the goals that you have in improving relations with China? I mean, it seems like it's pretty challenging because they are doing a lot of things, increasing military pressure, and of airlines, you know, having to list Taiwan under China, and also diplomatic pressure. So is there any way to improve ties at this time?
Yes. It's difficult. It's difficult not because that, we don't have the goodwill, as our government, our President Tsai Ing-wen has pledged many times the four no's. There's no change in our pledges, and there's no change in our goodwill, and we are not bow to pressure, and we will not go back to the old path of confrontation. That's our promise. But the thing is that the Taiwan-China relations is also embedded in the broader context. It's a global thing. So given that the U.S. and China is now have some difficulty in their relationship, and given that President Xi Jinping has built Communist Party's legitimacy upon nationalistic claims. So they are really putting a lot of pressure on us. Many people have a mistake by saying that it's all the cross-strait relation is purely about Taiwan and China. It's not true. It's located in a broader context. So we have to take the whole context into consideration. We have a goodwill. We are not confrontational, but they take their frustration at us. I think that is really worry us a lot, given that we see that the worsening relation between U.S. and China. I think we will be facing more pressure from China.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So do you think that will draw the U.S. closer to Taiwan, though?
We don't know. We will not conduct our we will not conduct anything under the presumption that the U.S. is going to improve their ties with Taiwan. We will act it very cautiously and in a very careful way. We are willing to have a dialogue, meaningful dialogue with Mainland China, as long as there's no political preconditions.
Right. I know that they really want the 92 consensus, or basically the idea of one China as a precondition.
Yes.
So is there any other way? Are there any ideas, you know, since I don't think the Tsai Ing-wen administration is willing to do that, right?
No.
So are there any other ideas that, that we can put on the table to get the two sides to talk?
We have a goodwill, and as long as there is no precondition, because our government, the current administration, came to office on that base. So, and also, we are not going to give up our sovereignty. There is a final goal for Chinese government, for Chinese Communist Party. But we are not going to renounce our sovereignty in exchange for a very illusionary peace. But outside of that, we have goodwill, and the time again, through many channels, we express our willing to have a meaningful dialogue with China. But unfortunately, that all of them have temporarily fall into a deaf ear in China, because I think the thing is not how we treat them, but because of the broader context, especially the relations between China and the U.S.
So you think that's one reason that they're
That's
being...
the main reason for them not to talk with us.
Oh, so it's not because we're not recognizing 92 consensus? Or?
And also, I mean, Xi Jinping, another is since it built, it shift the Communist Party's legitimacy based from performance, from economic performance to the nationalistic claim. It make it very difficult for them to have a low-profile dialogue with Taiwan. Yeah.
So it's very difficult for him to compromise his principle of one China as well.
Yes, true.
So do you see that there won't be official dialogue probably in the next couple of years?
We don't know.
What do you know? What do you see?
We don't know. We are open to that option.
What would you like to talk? What would you like to talk to them about if they could have official dialogue with you?
I think the prosperity of Taiwanese people and Chinese people is the main thing. How can we reduce our hostility to each other, especially mainly from China? We don't have any really
Hostility towards them.
No, we don't have that much stronger feeling toward them. I think that will be beneficial to both Taiwanese people and Chinese people. They can shift their focus to the economic performance, to the economic affairs, without building up their military capacities. And likewise, in Taiwan, we can focus more in our own internal affairs. Many reforms that our government, especially under the leadership of Tsai Ing-wen, want to do. The pension reform has achieved, and we still have many other things that we need to do. It's an aging society. We really need to focus in more and pour in more resource into that.
Our domestic affairs.
Yes.
So, but China is giving, unfortunately, they're not coming to the table right now. They're giving us a lot of pressure, commercial and political, military. So how does the MAC plan to deal with China in the meanwhile under all this pressure?
Our thing is that we want to make no surprise. We are going to manage it, and we are going to the government or President Tsai Ing-wen expressed it very clearly that we want to adopt a very moderate stand to China, and so it's our job to maintain that on a daily basis. So we are facing, for example, a lot of things like residential cars, that sort of issue. We are facing a lot of pressure from different sides. Taiwan is an open society, it's a democracy, so people have different opinions. And we are trying to stay in the middle, to follow the mainstream of Taiwanese people, and to keep it in order. And we want to really still in the middle.
So if you can
Keep
have
the
the
course.
chance now to say something to China, what would you like to tell them?
Let's focus in China and Taiwan. Let's focus on our own domestic issues. Taiwan is an aging society, and China is not really far behind. And we are all facing these very daunting challenges. So we really need to put more effort and the resource into help to advance the welfare of our people, not to indulge ourselves. The leaders should not indulge themselves in the dream of build a great nation on the base of aggression towards neighbors. Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It has been an honor to speak with Deputy Minister Ming-chi of the
My
Mainland
honor.
Affairs Council, one of the top officials in charge of Taiwan's relations with China. Thank you so much also for tuning in to Taiwan Today. I'm Natalie So.